emotional side, because mine's a little bit more on the funny side. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I'm glad we got to do that. That was really good. That was really good. Great stories. Well, since my parents couldn't be here this weekend, I'm going to speak on behalf of them. And like I said, I'm going to kind of keep this one a little light and just go down a little bit of memory lane and maybe try to get some laughs out of this. But I was just starting to think, I didn't even really realize until this weekend as we are rolling into 4th of July that here we are. It's 4th of July weekend. And looking back on summers as a kid growing up, usually at 4th of July time, this was Grigri's prime time. Yeah. And this was usually, I can't even tell you how many summers and 4th of Julys I spent with Grigri, whether it was down on the coast of South Carolina, around here in Georgia, around Illinois, or up in Wisconsin. So as this kind of time approaches, the dog days of summer, I think of all my special memories with her. And a lot of those memories occurred on the road. Chris touched up on a little bit. She always had the ambition to be a truck driver. She loved being on the road. We all know she didn't like to stay in one place too long. She liked to keep it moving. But that's something that we really loved about her, and that reflects how much she loved us. She wanted to see us. So she wanted to visit Whitney. She wanted to visit my mom and see her grandkids. She wanted to go up to Tomahawk. So it was common for her to be on the road, to be moving around. And the significance of 4th of July weekend and Grigri, her love for the American flag, for our country, our freedom. It also ties into the first time that Papa and Grigri met on a boxcar train going from Chicago. I think you stopped in Champaign, she stopped in Mount Vernon, right? They met on 4th of July weekend. I think that is very interesting. He told me that this morning. So it was around this time of year that they met each other for the first time, and look at what we got now. I got to have a real...
I didn't know I could do it.
I'm glad that you struck up the courage to talk to her, because a lot of blessings came out of that. I think of my childhood and my summers. I think of even now today as we have children and passing it down to the next generation. We get to have this amazing place in Tomahawk, Wisconsin, the most beautiful place in America, to take our kids and create memories like we all had as children. And that is a blessing that not a lot of people I know get to experience. And just to have a great family, the 5 children that y'all two had. I love my aunts and uncles. Y'all are a great family. There's a combination of you, Papa, and Grigri that made that happen. And the fact that we're all together here in this room, it really is amazing. But like I said, it was common for her to be on the road. A lot of times she would come down to Charleston when I'd be on summer vacation. She'd spend time on the beach with us. We'd go to Hilton Head. She really liked Hilton Head a lot. Yeah, she loved going there. But I was thinking about those memories. We'd be on the beach playing in the sand. It was very common for her to just be out there in about the 2 feet water and just sitting there in the water for hours until the sun would go down. And she'd just be out there for hours just looking at the horizon, just so fascinated with God's creation. I even saw a video that Simone showed me recently on Mother's Day out there in the backyard. And in the video, Simone's trying to start up conversation. Grigri, how are you doing? I love you, things like that. But I think she was just so captivated by the nature around her, and she was so in awe of creation. But that's always what I remember about Grigri. She just loved life. She lived life to the fullest. There was never a dull moment. She always went to check up on her kids. I remember at home, our home phone be blowing up every hour or two. You always knew who it was. But after she and I learned this later on, after she got off from my mom and talked for hours on end, she'd just call up Alicia, she'd call up Whitney, she'd call up Chris, she'd call up Matt. And she just kept that rotation going. She loved checking up on the kids, wanted to know everything. She wanted to know every little detail about our lives. I remember her just spending time with her, even recent years. She always was so curious about what's going on in my life, who I'm dating, where I'm living, what are my best friends' names, what do they do for a living. She wanted to know every single little detail, but that's something that's very rare. We're in a culture now where it's all about me, me, me. This is what I do, this is what I have, blah, blah, blah. But you don't have people around you as often that are curious about your life and wanting to know where they can help, what they can do to make it better. So just that type of sympathy, that type of awareness and curiosity about other people is something that really resonates when I think about Grigri. A lot of times when she'd be in Charleston for the summers, we would gradually move up to the Midwest. We'd probably stop in Atlanta at Whitney's house and then make our way up through Champaign to Tomahawk. And I always had the option, do I ride with my mom or do I ride with Grigri? Cameron a lot of times would stay with my mom, but I always chose to go ride with Grigri. Several reasons why. We would get there 5 hours before my mom, because my mom is a slow driver. She would drive below the speed limit. Grigri would honk. We would fly there. We'd get to Champaign hours before my mom. And also, we'd stop off and get whatever kind of candy I want, whatever kind of soda I want, whatever fast food I want. And my mom, she liked to listen to like NPR radio, talk shows. Grigri, we turn up the jam. The rock and roll on, the country music. We would be having a good time. So it was a lot more fun riding with Grigri. And all of us know that. She was the fun grandma. And I remember like when she'd be coming down to visit us, that anticipation of her pulling into the driveway was always it was always exciting when all y'all would show up. At Grigri, there was a whole different level of it. And the present that'd be under the Christmas tree that was said from Grigri, we all knew that was the best one. It was always the best one. Oh. It's like she knew what was at the top of our Christmas list. It's like, I got dibs on that one. That's what I'm gonna buy. It was also common for her to hand us $20 bills, right? I think about even as a kid, even until through my 20s, it was very common for her to slide you a 20. She loved going to ATM. She called it her money machine. I remember her saying, I like to push the buttons and it gives me money. She loved to give us a $20 bill. But as a broke college kid, that was awesome. Like, oh my gosh, I got a $20 bill. And I love that she always did that for us. I think about, and I think every grandkid in this room knows, and probably kid in here knows this room, Chris, Matt, Alicia, Whitney. Anytime she'd make us a sandwich, or a burger, or whatever it was, there would always be a bite taken out of it. It was a signature move of hers. I told Drew and Nathaniel, I'm going to carry on that tradition with my kids. Whenever I make them food, I'm going to take the first bite out of it.
Even at school lunches.
She inspired me, though. She taught me a lot about this world. She taught me a lot about politics, about American history. She taught me a lot about geography, and geography has always been a fascination of mine. I learned about states and capitals and what happens in California, what goes on in Massachusetts, what goes on in Texas. I learned a lot of that from her. She sparked those curiosities for me and always kept me interested in politics and current events, what was going on. She would always inform me. She was always ahead of the times too. She always had People magazine subscriptions, Us Weekly. She always knew what was going on in the celebrity gossip. She always knew. She was so hip and with it. She always could connect me because I was a teenager, and she knew like who my favorite bands were somehow, and she knew who the artists' girlfriends were. My mom, you're way cooler than my mom. She didn't know.
Careful, Shelby. She's gonna watch this video.
Just a couple more things. She was a regular frequenter of Walgreens. She loved getting candy bars. She loved to share her candy bars with me. She loved the pink Moscato little mini coolers. She loved Benjamin Franklin up in Tomahawk.
It's not there anymore.
That was her favorite store. But more than anything, she was very selfless. She was all about others. I think, like I said, she may get a chocolate bar for herself, but usually she was frequenting those stores to buy gifts for other people. She had a heart for us so much, and golly, I can't wait to be back with her again. It's going to be great. I have a few Bible verses I want to share. A couple verses that I pulled up just to make me think about her a little bit. I was thinking about just how much she loves on people, how sympathetic she is on people. I found out of 1 Peter 3:8 says, "Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate, and be humble." I mean, those are all character traits that I think describe Grigri. She was very loving. She was very sympathetic. She was so compassionate. She was very humble. She always took others before herself. And it's very encouraging, and I think it's something that we should challenge ourselves as we move forward, to think like Grigri. What would Grigri do? Christopher explained it very well. She loved to give people rides, give people money, help people out, give them food. She just loved on others greatly, and it's something that we should all challenge ourselves to be more like. Also out of 2 Timothy 4:7, Paul says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." As I think about her life, I think about all those road trips she took on. She was all about the journey more than the destination. I think she really loved the journey. She loved the journey of life and all the pathways it took. For somebody in their older years, she had a heart like a young teenager. She always had that passion to keep going. Even during her later days, I spent time with her at Gifford. She wanted me to play music on my phone, and she knew every single lyric to every song I was playing. Yeah. She wanted, and she was always talking about how much she wanted to go out, go shopping, do things, and I knew that young heart still was there. I think about that verse, fighting the good fight, finishing the race. She fought a good fight. She fought hard for a long time. She ran the race. She stayed on that journey, and she lived it to the fullest. She never was down about anything. She kept us up. During my hardest times, she poured into me. She gave me sound advice. She really kept me pushing. And there's nobody like her. There never will be. But we all get to experience that one day with her in heaven, which is great. But yeah, that's all I got. But I'm sure more stories